is Rain from Rain Travels, and for today's video, I am going to explain what is the formal obligation. So many of you or many of my subscribers have personally asked me about this particular document. So what is it, who needs it, and where to get it? Are you ready? Let's start. So the formal obligation document, it has several names. Okay, but first, what is it? So this is an official document proving that a third country national have sufficient financial means or an accommodation to stay within the Schengen area. So this official document has different names in different countries. So for example, in Austria, it's called the EVE. For Germany, it's Verpflichtungserklärung. And then Belgium, the Annex 3 bis, of course, it's French. France, it is the Attestation d'Accueil. So I'm murdering it. But yeah, it has different names. So this particular document is provided by a host or sponsor who is a resident in that particular country. So the host or sponsor will be financially responsible for the visa applicant. Okay, so the host or the sponsor can either be a family member, a longtime partner, a friend, or even a business partner. So as long as the person is a resident of the Schengen area or the company is or has a business within the Schengen area. So when is it needed? So this is the question that I have been receiving for quite a lot. Okay, so it's needed when the applicant or the visa applicant does not have sufficient means or sufficient funds, or when there is a doubt as to whether the applicant will be able to provide sufficient funds to support his or her travel within the Schengen area. Now, you might be asking me, so how much does the visa applicant need? So you can check the daily requirement from this Schengen Visa Info website. So the summary is there. You can scan the QR code and it will link you to the website. Okay, so for example, Switzerland. So how much is needed for Switzerland? If you are a self-funded traveler, you would need at least 100 Swiss francs per day. If you are a student, then you would need at least 30 Swiss francs per day. Okay, so that's how, if you will not be able to reach the minimum amount, then the formal obligation document might be needed. Okay, so the clue word there is might. Next one, is it available in all countries? The short answer is no, okay, because there are some countries that do not have a specific form for the declaration of sponsorship. Okay, so for example, Finland. So Finland states that even if it's a private visit, even if you are visiting your friend, your spouse, or a relative, the invitation does not guarantee that your visa will be issued. They will not consider the wealth of your host or your sponsor. Okay, so that's for Finland. And then for Denmark, they say that even if you will be sponsored, you should have at your disposal an approximate amount of 350 Danish kroner per day. And if you are staying at a hotel, it must be greater than 500 Danish kroners per day. So those are just two of the countries which does not generally consider the formal obligation document. Now, where does the sponsor obtain it? So there are different places technically where your sponsor can obtain it. So it can be readily available from the Migration Office or the Foreigners Authority website of the country, or it can be given, for example, in Switzerland, once the visa applicant has submitted his or her application and the embassy deems that the applicant does not have enough proof of subsistence. or means of subsistence. Now, the next question is, what are the requirements? So first and foremost, the host identification. So if the host is a citizen of the Schengen area, or a citizen of the country where you are applying from rather, then the passport and or the national ID. If the host is a resident of the country, then the passport plus the residence permit. Now take note, the residence permit should be valid at the time of the application. Aside from that one, the formal obligation requires that the host provide a copy of his or her financial capacity. So this would include the income statements from the last 3 months. Now, in a lot of countries, there are salary requirements, and this differ per country. So please do check first. It can also be bank statements from the last 3 months, as well as a recent statement of debt from the enforcement registry. So this is only applicable in some countries. Now, if the host will provide you accommodation, then either the rental agreement or the extract from the land registry. Now, in some countries, the accommodation must meet the size requirement. So please do check as well. Now, for the applicant's identification, of course, the visa applicant should provide a copy of his or her passport bio page, the birth date of the applicant, the complete address abroad, and the relationship to the host or sponsor, because they do ask about it. Aside from that one, of course, the registration form or the application form, which can be done either online or with some paper-based. Now that you know the requirements, let's go to the process. So I'll be detailing the process for each of the different Schengen countries. So you can skip this one and just go proceed to the exact country. Okay, so the first one is Austria. So for Austria, it's called the elektronische Verpflichtungserklärung-einladung, so EVE. So the first thing that your sponsor has to do is to contact the Landespolizei and to schedule an appointment. After this appointment has been given, has to bring the required documents. And once the EVE is approved, the host should forward the EVE ID to the visa applicant. Take note that the visa applicant may only submit the application at least 48 hours after the EVE was submitted. So please do take note of that one. Next, let's have Belgium. So for Belgium, it's called formal obligation or simply Annex 3 bis. So the host completes part 1, which is A, B, and D of the form, and then he or she will bring the required documents to the municipal administration, who sends the documents to the immigration office, and the immigration office will decide on the application. So once it's approved, the municipal administration contacts the host, and the host will send the original document to the visa applicant for him or her to submit during the visa application. Okay, so take note, for Belgium, you need the original document during the visa application. Clear? Okay, so let's go to the next one, Czech Republic. So for Czech Republic, the host will have to go to the Foreign Police Department of the Regional Police Directorate or use the invitation portal. So it can either be online or personal. So complete the official form of the invitation letter and then submit 300 documents. Koruna. Pay 3. I'm not sure how much that is in euro. So it will take around 7 days for the processing to be complete. And then on day 7, once everything is complete, you can collect the certified invitation letter and send the original to the visa applicant. So you can scan the QR codes here for the invitation portal or the Foreign Police website. Next, for Croatia. So for Croatia, it's called the letter of guarantee and invitation. So first, the host will fill out the form and have it authenticated by a public notary in Croatia. Once it's authenticated, then the host should send the original copy to the applicant for submission together with the attachments, so the documentary attachments on the visa appointment date. So next one, for Denmark. So even if I have mentioned earlier that Denmark wants the visa applicant to have their own financial statements, an invitation can also be provided. So it's called an online invitation or the form VU2. So what the host has to do is, if he or she would like to invite someone to Denmark, is he or she would log on and complete the online invitation using his or her MIT ID. And then once it's approved, he or she will forward the invitation ID to the visa applicant. So this is true if the visa applicant will directly send to the Danish embassy through any visa application center. However, if Denmark is represented by another country, let's say there is no Danish embassy within your country, what the host can do is fill out the paper-based form of the VU2. So that's a printable invitation form. Next, for Estonia. So Estonia, it's called an invitation and guarantee letter. So this invitation and guarantee letter is a free form letter which must state the host's full contact details, the duration and dates of the visit, and the host must certify that he or she will provide board and lodging. The invitation must be signed and dated. So again, this is a free form letter. So if you need a sample of a free form invitation and guarantee letter, you can head on to my Ko-fi page. You can freely download it from there. Next, the host will send the original letter to the applicant, and a digitally signed letter may also be forwarded to the embassy. So that's for Estonia. Next, for Finland. So as I have told you, for Finland, they do not take into consideration the wealth of the host or sponsor. So the visa applicant can be invited. Okay, so the invitation letter is in the form of, again, a free form letter. So, and this particular letter will be sent again to the visa applicant. Next, for France. Okay, so for France, they have the Attestation. I do not know how to pronounce it properly, but it is a formal obligation document. The first thing that you have to do, or the host has to do, is to set an appointment with the Mairi at his or her place of residence, after which bring the required documents on the appointment date and make sure that he or she has 30 euros of stamp tax ready. So once the attestation is approved, then the host will have to send the original document to the visa applicant for submission during the visa application or visa appointment date. Now that is for France. Now for Germany. So Germany, the process for getting the formal obligation document or the Verpflichtungserklärung is, first you must request an appointment with the Ausländerbehörde in the municipality of residence. After you are given an appointment date, submit the required documents on the appointment date. And once you have received the approved formal obligation, send the original document to the visa applicant. Okay. For Greece. So for Greece, they have an invitation / solemn declaration. So the host writes an invitation letter or a solemn declaration, and then he must have his signature authenticated at the KEP. So that would be the Social Administrative Department. So you can search for that one. And then make sure to send the original copy of the letter or the solemn declaration to the visa applicant. For Hungary, so Hungary, what they need is a notarized invitation letter. So again, it's a free form letter. Okay, so the host will write a free form letter or invitation letter or solemn declaration, after which he or she must have it notarized at a public notary. Then he or she will need to send a stamped original letter or declaration to the visa applicant. For Iceland, so for Iceland, they have an invitation letter. Again, the invitation letter is in free form. Okay, so it's sent to the visa applicant together with other pertinent documents. Now, take note, if the inviting party, if the host will be sponsoring the stay, he or she will pay for everything for the visa applicant, then the host will need to provide a copy of his personal or company bank account in order to demonstrate that he or she can sufficiently provide for the visa applicant. Next, for Italy. So Italy, they have their own formal obligation form. So it's the Dichiarazione, it's a declaration, a declaration of guarantee. The host fills out the form, and then the form together with the attachment are sent to the visa applicant. So you can scan the QR code to see the form. For Latvia, so for Latvia, it's called an invitation letter. So the host sends an invitation request either online through the e-services or through the customer service division of the Office of Citizenship and Migration Affairs. After which, he or she will pay the corresponding fee, and after 2 working days, once it's approved, send the invitation to the visa applicant. For Liechtenstein, it has the same process as Switzerland, which I'll be discussing later. And for Lithuania, so Lithuania, it's also called an invitation letter. So the Lithuanian term is beside it. The host completes the invitation form and submits it electronically through Migris. So once there is an assigned number on the Migris, then it's considered approved. Next, once it's approved, the host will forward the invitation to the visa applicant. Now, for Luxembourg, so it's referred to as the financial statement of support. The host will need to complete the form and send the form to the Passport, Visa, and Legalization Office. If it's accepted, the guarantor will receive an official stamp, copy of the document, and then send the original form to the visa applicant. So that's how it goes for Luxembourg. For Malta, it's referred to as the Notarized Declaration of Proof. So the host will complete the form and have it notarized at a public notary or through a lawyer. Then he or she will have to send the notarized declaration together with the attachments to the visa applicant. For Netherlands, this is the garantstelling. So it's just a proof of sponsorship. Okay, so I do not know how to read it in Dutch. So the host will fill out the form, the proof of sponsorship and or private accommodation, and make sure to have the gemeente or the municipality legalize the signature on the form, after which the host can send the form and all other required documents to the visa applicant. Okay, so this can be a scan. I know that for a lot of people were applying for Netherlands, they just send scan copies of this one. Next, for Poland. Okay, so for Poland, it's the Zaproszenie. Um, the host would send the application by post to the Department of Foreigners, usually in Poznan, or any of the official delegations, together with a different attachment of proof of payment. So once approved, of course will be sent back to the host, and the host will need to send the copy or the original to the visa applicant. Now for Portugal. So Portugal has the Termo de Responsabilidade. So again, the host will fill out the application form, have it notarized or authenticated by either a lawyer or a public notary, then send the form together with the other documentary evidence to the visa applicant. For Slovakia, they have an official invitation letter which needs to be verified at the Foreign Police Department. Now, it takes around 15 days for the verification and it costs 33 euros. So, once verified, the host should send the original to the visa applicant for submission. For Slovenia, there are actually two forms. Okay, so there's the letter of guarantee and invitation letter. So whichever is applicable to you as the visa applicant or to the host. So the host completes the form or forms, and then the forms are certified and registered at the administrative unit in Slovenia, after which the certified forms together with the attachments are sent to the visa applicant. So for Spain, it's called the Carta de Invitación. The host completes the form and schedules an appointment, usually done online, with a police station, foreigner's police station of his or her residence. And then on his or her appointment date, bring the copy of the form together with the required documents. And once it's approved, a notice will be sent to the host to pay the fees. Okay, so once you have the Carta de Invitación, forward the original document to the visa applicant. Now for the next one, we have Sweden. So for Sweden, it's called the Inbjudan. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. So the host completes the form and sends the form with the attachments by mail or through email to the visa applicant. So it can be a scan for Sweden. Now, for Switzerland, Switzerland has a different process. So it's called the Declaration of Sponsorship or Verpflichtungserklärung. So the first step is for the visa applicant to submit the application. Okay, so unlike the others, the visa applicant has to submit the application first. Now, once the embassy assesses that the applicant does not have sufficient financial resources, and he or she has a sponsor in Switzerland, then a declaration of sponsorship will be forwarded to either or both the visa applicant and the sponsor's email. Previously, in the previous years, personally, they would send it via mail. So that's what I have received before. But in the recent, I think in the past year, they were sending it through email. So the sponsor completes the form and brings the form together with the attachments to the migration authority for approval. So once it's approved, the migration office will notify both the host and the embassy. Okay. So after which the embassy will resolve the visa application. So that's the process for the formal obligation in each of the Schengen states as of July 2023. Now, do take note that the approval of the formal obligation document or having a sponsor in the Schengen area does not equate to a visa approval because the embassy will still assess your other documents. So if you have any questions on how to proceed with getting the formal obligation documents in any of the Schengen states, you can contact the migration office, the embassy, if the embassy involved, or you may send me a message. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights,